Good evening, I'm Jace Mills.
And I'm Brooke Lennington.
We begin tonight with breaking news. Topeka police are investigating after a man was found naked and unresponsive in West Topeka.
Police say the man was found around 8 tonight near Westridge Mall. They say the man was thrown from a small, dark-colored SUV with a prominent roof rack. Police say the man was not breathing when he was found, but he was resuscitated and taken to Stormontville Hospital. We will continue to follow this story and bring you any updates at KSNT.com as soon as we learn more.
And a potential new job for Kansas Governor Sam Brownback tonight. The governor could be headed to a new ambassadorship.
We have team coverage from every angle tonight. We begin with a White House release that says President Trump will nominate Governor Brownback to serve as ambassador at large for international religious freedom. And like any political move, it has people on both sides talking for and against the decision.
I think that we need to get back to what Kansas values are.
He will fit in well with the Trump administration.
And the nomination comes after months of speculation about Brownback's future here in the Sunflower State.
KSNT News reporter James Ryan has more on what his colleagues in the State House are saying about his legacy in Kansas.
It looks like Governor Sam Brownback won't be keeping this mansion for long. Although a press conference is scheduled for Thursday afternoon, the governor hinted on Twitter that he might be accepting a position with the State Department. In this tweet, Brownback says that religious freedom is the first freedom, and he is honored to serve such an important cause. This comes just after President Donald Trump announced he is nominating the governor to serve as ambassador at large for international religious freedom.
He's been interested in religion. He's been interested in world studies, those types of things. So hopefully it's something that he enjoys and something he's good at.
The nomination comes 1 month after the Kansas legislature voted to roll back the governor's 2012 tax cuts.
His failed tax experiment is definitely his legacy, and the devastation that has created in this state. I don't think he'll ever be forgotten.
But others point out that Brownback has served multiple posts here in Kansas for over 2 decades.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of years, and not all of his policies stuck, but he has served our state, and we appreciate the time he gave.
Brownback would still need to be confirmed by the Senate. If he is approved, it is expected that he will step down from the governorship immediately. Reporting from Cedar Crest in Topeka, James Ryan, KSNT News.
This is the second time there's been news about Governor Brownback and a possible ambassadorship.
Rumors first started circulating in March that the governor was being offered the UN ambassadorship of food and agriculture based in Rome.
Now, other Kansas and national lawmakers are tweeting their congratulations to the governor tonight. Representative Lynn Jenkins writes her best wishes for Brownback and his family. Jerry Moran writes Brownback will be a tireless and effective ambassador. Meanwhile, Senator Pat Roberts says he is glad Brownback was given this opportunity.
And here's a little bit more about where the governor came from. He grew up on a farm in western Kansas near Parker. He went to K-State and received an agricultural economics degree. Brownback went on to graduate with a law degree from KU in 1982. He was elected to Congress in 1994, but in 1996, Brownback was elected to the U.S. Senate to fill the unexpired term of Senator Bob Dole, who resigned to run for president. Sam Brownback made a short-lived presidential run of his own in 2008, dropping out of the race before the Iowa caucuses. Now, here to give us more insight on what this all means is KSNT News political analyst Dr. Bob Beatty. Bob, has there been talk of Governor Brownback leaving early? Or there has been talk, rather, of the governor leaving early now for months.
That's true, and the interesting thing about this is very unusual for the state of Kansas. Only 4 governors in Kansas history going back to 1861 have left office before their terms expired. 3 of those 4, it was only a matter of a few weeks. Of course, Kathleen Sebelius left in 2009, and that was 20 months before her term expired, and Governor Brownback's term expires in 16 months. So this is very unusual for a governor to leave this early. The big difference between Governor Brownback leaving and Kathleen Sebelius, who left in 2009, was first, Kathleen Sebelius had a very close relationship with then President Barack Obama, and she left for one of the top jobs in the entire U.S. government, which was to reform health care. Now, Governor Brownback was I shall say, a reluctant supporter of Donald Trump when he ran for president, so they're not what you would say close friends. Also, this job, while many people feel it is important, is not as, does not have the power that Governor Sebelius' job had. So a few differences, but now we're starting to see a little trend here with Kansas governors taking off before their term expires.
That's right. And so, Bob, you mentioned Kansas governors historically don't like to leave early. So why is Brownback leaving early?
Well, you know, when I think about this, I see two reasons. One, as we already heard, is that Governor Brownback has always been interested in religious freedom and religious causes. And Governor Brownback has had a motto in the last few years as governor, and I paraphrase it by what he said. He would say, "We're here for a reason, and it's a short season." So Governor Brownback believes that he has to use his, what do you say, limited time here to change people's lives. And so he thinks that he can do that in this position. But linked to that is the second reason: we have a more moderate legislature in Kansas, and it sounds like he just doesn't believe he can have the impact that he has had in Kansas with that more moderate legislature.
And Bob, you talked about time. Thinking back on the time that the governor's been in office, what might his legacy be?
Well, you know, I think of Governor Brownback, and I've used the term a conservative revolutionary. He really shook things up as governor in a conservative way, and there was many changes. The privatization of CanCare, and of course his famous 2012 tax cuts, and then he was reelected, and then his approval ratings went down with big budget deficits, and of course just a month ago his famous tax cuts were overturned by the legislature. So a real up and down legacy for Governor Brownback, and in the end the revolution didn't quite happen with those tax cuts being overturned by the legislature. So it'll be really interesting to talk about as we go forward more about his legacy.
All right, as always, Bob, thank you for being here.
Yeah, good to be here.
Well, love it or hate it, politics always seem to get everyone talking.
And tonight's news is no exception. We were out in Topeka just hours ago, where some of you told us how you feel about Governor Brownback's nomination. We joined KSNT News reporter Austin Barnes at the State House. Austin, what are people saying tonight?
Brooke, Jace, the city is buzzing with this news tonight. Now, when I was out and about here on the city streets just a little while ago, people were just finding out about the news through our news alert. Some of them were just pulling that up and showing that to me as I talked with them. Now, what I can tell you tonight is that when it comes to opinions, your neighbors are in no short supply. Will he pack up and leave? That's the question Kansans are asking themselves as Governor Sam Brownback enters the Trump inner circle again. But how do your neighbors feel about a potential exit?
Most Kansans will be pleased that Governor Brownback is leaving the state.
It's probably 50-50. There are people who think that he's the greatest thing on earth.
I think Kansas will benefit if Brownback decides to go to Washington.
The possibility remains speculation until it's officially announced by President Trump and confirmed by the Senate. In the meantime, Governor Brownback, using 180 characters, leaves the people he serves with this message, to which they reply,
It'll be interesting to see what happens next.
Only time will tell. Now, all is quiet here at the State House tonight, but that is sure to change here in the next couple of days. But we will continue to monitor that as we do continue to follow this story here in the capital city. Reporting live tonight, Austin Barnes, KSNT News.
All right, Austin, thank you for that. And here's the timeline of Sam Brownback's tenure as governor.
He was first elected as governor in 2010. He was re-elected in 2014. Now, the Kansas Constitution limits governors to 2 terms. Brownback was set to leave office in January of 2018. And now that Governor Brownback is nominated, it's all coming down to if he will accept the job.
Our chief White House correspondent, Mark Meredith, joins us on the phone now. Mark, give us some more insight into how this nomination process might work.
Well, Jason, as you can imagine, so much in Washington doesn't move as fast as people might like it to be. But for a nomination like this was, of course, the big news. The president making it public that he intends to nominate the governor. But what happens next really goes away from the White House and it focuses on Capitol Hill. The Senate will be the one that takes up this nomination. As you can imagine, as I said, the Senate doesn't always move fast with nominations, even though, as Bob said, this isn't going to be the most high-profile position that senators are going to have to consider. So we are expecting this to still take some time. This isn't going to happen overnight or by the weekend, but eventually this nomination will make its way to the Senate, and then from there it could be anybody's guess as to how long it'll take. Guys?
All right, thank you, Mark. Now, Mark, one more question. How likely is it for a governor to accept these types of nominations?
I think it certainly would be surprising if he were to turn it down, only because the White House, for them to make this public, would certainly indicate that they've already had a conversation with the governor. This is not something in traditional administrations that would just be sprung out there, because the White House doesn't want to be turned down publicly. However, things could change if there's going to be any sort of roadblocks to this nomination going through. It is possible that he would decide not to do this job, but so far at this late hour here in D.C., we haven't heard of any indications of anything but this nomination being welcomed so far. But it is still early, guys.
All right, thank you, Mark. Now, if Governor Brownback does accept the nomination, that means Jeff Collier will become governor.
And so just who is Jeff Collier? Well, in Kansas, the governor and lieutenant governor run on the same ticket. Lieutenant Governor Collier was a state representative and a state senator representing parts of Johnson County. Collier joined the ticket with Governor Brownback in 2010. Now, professionally, Collier is a craniofacial and plastic surgeon. He's known for numerous international humanitarian trips. His official state bio says Lieutenant Governor Collier is a fifth-generation Kansan.